Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Loaded Mag NUFC. It is the big match preview. It is away days, and we are back to football. After the transfer show last night, we are back to football in a big way. It's a big game on Sunday at Molineux. Wolverhampton Wanderers against Newcastle United, and we're going to get down to it all tonight. Daz, how are you, fella? How are things on this Thursday evening?
Not too bad. Looking forward now to getting back to action in the Premier League. As you're right, it is a big one for us. We went 4 in the bounce, and then that League Cup first leg happened. So let's see how we go on Sunday. Away from home, always tricky for us, but you never know. We've got a lot to talk about with little Dan as well, our guest tonight, and because they have ideas of trying to get out of the trouble they're in. So let's see how that goes. But how are you, Pete?
Not too bad. It's been a tiring week at work. It's a really tiring week. So I'm looking forward to Friday and just having a bit of a chill. Yeah. Friday. Even this evening after the show, Traitors. Oh my God. If any, I don't think you've watched it.
Catch up still.
Oh my God! One of the best episodes ever. You know what I mean when you watch it. If anyone watches it tonight, I'll watch it. But definitely watch it tonight, and it's on tonight as well. So double whammy for you, Daz, when we finish the show. But we've got a big game to attend to, and we've got the man in to talk about it. It is Wolf Fancast Zone. It's Little Dan. He's returned to us. Welcome back, Little Dan. How are you?
There he is. What time do you call this, Chris?
Me. I'm 8 minutes late. I do not know how I get involved. I'll tell you his post show. I do not know.
We're getting Dan on. We're getting
shenanigans. Sorry, I'm late.
But you're right, Pete. Welcome, little Dan.
How you doing?
I wish I had Chris's grey hair. I'll take whatever I can get being bald. But are you telling me, Dad, you didn't see Alan Carr in last night's Traitors?
No, was he in that?
I'm just playing you, Dad. I'm getting in early with the playing you up, Dad.
He's winding you up. He's winding you up. I like
great it. Episode, Pete. Great episode.
It was. We can't. I would love to talk about it in detail, but can't spoil it because they.
I might be the only one that hasn't seen it. So yeah.
I'm like 4 episodes behind, but we can't speak about it for at least a week.
Yeah, we can't ruin it, but it's
Andy Cole got recruited by the Traitors last night.
Don't start with this.
Andy Cole.
Yeah. Next it'll be Les Ferdinand and Janola and Demba Ba. But hey, we'll I'll let you get the little comments in as we go along.
If we're going recruiting, can we go for Matheus Manley? That's what
I mean. That's the only reason I've come on tonight's show is to tell you lot to get your hands off that boy. It was
Pedro Neto. We're trying to lure him.
It used to be Ruben Neves. It was Pedro Neto. It was Ryan Aït-Nouri, and now it's Matheus Mane. You guys need to realise that we have your cast-offs, but our good players go to bigger clubs. It's just a circle of life. We have your Mike Williamsons. You don't get our star players. That's how it goes.
Not about that. I forgot you had Mike Williamson.
Gets Boyat, Court. The list goes on.
All the classics. But no, look, we'll get onto that young man in just a second. But look, Dan, I wanted to ask you. We know where Wolves are in the table at this moment in time. But the question I've kind of got for you to sort of kick this off is that how has it ended up putting you in this position? What's gone wrong this season to ensure that you're currently bottom of the league with the points? I think 6 points at the moment or 7 that you've accumulated this season. What's gone wrong at Wolverhampton Wanderers for you to be in this position?
I think it's purely managed decline. We've got a meeting with our new chairman coming up in the next few weeks, part of the fan group. So I've been orchestrating protests in the last couple of months of how bad that Wolves have become. But it's not purely down to this season. This has been coming 2 or 3 seasons now. Somehow we still had a bit of a core of a squad that managed to get us over the line. This summer, the chairman made the call to give Vita Pereira and the director of football at the time, Domenico Tetti, basically the keys to the safe. We spent over £100 million this summer. So for me, you can't really question the owners. It's not like Hull under Marco Silva where they had like 12 players and the owners completely pulled the plug. We still spent big this season, but they spent it woefully. They've not replaced the players that you all know have left in recent years. Rather, so in the summer it was Matheus Cunha, Ryan Nori, Nelson Semedo, even Pablo Sarabia, who were all sort of in the leadership group, the key players within that squad that got us to safety comfortably in the end last season. But the way that the chairman has run the club in the last probably 3-4 years, it's been sort of a mindset. Let's finish 17th. That's the main objective. Anything else is a bonus. We had a good cup run under Gary O'Neill. We didn't have a striker from January towards the end of the season through injuries. Didn't get any, you could have got a championship striker on loan. That would have maybe got us past Coventry in the quarterfinal. It's just really bad management that's coming home to roost now. Yeah,
it's been a difficult watch, even for someone on the outside that's not a Wolves fan, because it had looked really, really bad this season. But there has been a little bit of an upturn. There has been an improvement, and Rob Edwards has come in as a new manager. Took a little bit of a while to come through. There was a lot of question marks, I have to say, Dan, about him taking the job. I know Middlesbrough fans were really, really annoyed with him. Didn't see the vision of why he would leave Middlesbrough, who would look like they're on the up and continuing to go on the up towards the Premier League. Why he would take a job that most fans thought it was going to be almost certain to be relegation. But there's been an upturn in form. What's been the difference then that Rob Edwards has brought to the club since he's come in and taken on the role as manager?
I mean, it was looking dicey about a month ago. He just weren't getting the result. I think it was something like the first 8 games, we only managed to get maybe a point. He didn't start off well. I think he's come into a dressing room where not necessarily toxicity, but a clear lack of confidence throughout the club. There's no unity. Like I mentioned, the players that left this summer, I think there was a stat I read the other day that there was the players that left this summer, there was 877 Premier League appearances between the group that left, and all the players that replaced them didn't have one Premier League appearance between them. The lack of Premier League experience and know-how and potential abilities, future is, and you'll never know how a player's going to land. A player can be the dog's bollocks in training, but when it comes to Saturday 3 p.m. or Sunday 2 p.m. in this instance, you don't know how they're going to react at Premier League level. Wolves, in the past few years, we've had some great players with experienced heads, the likes of João Moutinho, Rui Patricio in goal. All these players that have just been phased out through whether it's lack of investment, lack of a project for them to buy into. Yeah, so like I say, it's come home to roost. But I feel over the last sort of few weeks, you looked at the games, Liverpool and Arsenal over the Christmas break. We was unlucky to not get a point from those 2 games. Yeah. So there's a bit of confidence built on the back of those. They managed to get a point at Man United, which is basically anyone getting a point at Man United nowadays. They're a joke. Sorry.
Apart from us.
Yeah, but I mean, like you should have got a point from that game. They were penned in for the majority of that game, and then obviously we got the win over West Ham, which was another team that's sort of down in the mire at the moment. Excuse me, and then last game, Shrewsbury at home in the cup. Under Nuno, we probably would have won that game 2-0. It would have been like a really dire performance just to get you over the line into the next round. When an opposition from the lower leagues comes up against you, especially at home, your fan base expects you to go and win comfortably. So to start the game that we did, I think it was 2-0 up in the first 10-15 minutes. And then really took the game to them, and then we could have won more than 6 in the end. And I think that's just like the confidence that's building within the club now. And hopefully with a few more additions this month, get rid of the players that don't want to be here, and then just see how we go from there. It's pretty much just go game by game at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. But boys, I'll come to you with regards to Wolves. You know, it looked. I mean, we were talking on sort of our reaction shows. We were looking at the league and stuff, and everyone thought that Wolves were down, Daz, but they seem to have turned it around. This game on Sunday may not be as easy as people make out. How are you seeing this game against? What I mean, just in general, what have you made of Wolves? Is the sort of resurgence in the last few games, and how are you seeing this game on Sunday?
Yeah, first of all, I did kind of watch them earlier in the season, and mainly just to kind of keep an eye on Jörg Strand Larsen after we're linked so heavily to him, and we're in talks at one stage as well. But they look poor. You're right. There has been a resurgence recently, and this is definitely not an easy game. When we all know that we don't like playing away from home, so. It's in no way a banker for us. We have to turn up to try and get something from this game to hopefully get the 3 points. But look, Wolves are fighting for their lives there. So you never know. And with the star player Mane now as well, look, we'll be keeping an eye on him for our own benefit too. But look. It's not all done and dusted yet. Teams have come back. It doesn't look pretty when you look at the table, like a 14-point gap to Forest or so. But you never know. You never know. There's still hope.
There is still hope, and obviously it's going to be a tough game at Molineux. It's a game that's always difficult, Chris, at Molineux. It's never really an easy ride. Can't remember the last time we've been there and comfortably won. There. You're looking at this situation, you know, they're fighting for their lives right now, and they need every point they're going to get. You know, what is it going to take for Newcastle United to go there and win and get the 3 points that we desperately need as much as Wolves do?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. Funnily enough, my last memory of the Molineux was when Alan St. Maximin scored in like the last minute with that. Well, I wouldn't call it a wonder goal. It was a very good goal. But yeah, maybe not a wonder goal, but yeah, he hit it from quite some distance, and yeah, it was a last-minute equaliser, and the away end just went absolutely mental. It was brilliant, but no, it's.
Did he get injured after that, Chris?
What? Sorry,
I think he was injured after that. Then
yeah, he was. Yeah, he hobbled when he celebrated. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then he got injured. Yeah, but no, it's gonna be a difficult game. I do feel like Wolves are in a bit of a false position because Dan mentioned, you know, there was a couple of games I've watched Wolves and they played really well. And, you know, the games that stand out, particularly Dan, the ones you mentioned, Liverpool, I think you said Liverpool and Arsenal, didn't you? Or was it Liverpool? Was it Liverpool Arsenal? It was, wasn't it? So, yeah, I mean, it's not going to be easy. Obviously, fantastic win against West Ham. And do you know what? You look at Wolves' team and they've got some good players. Like I remember, Dan, when you were last on and, you know, we were looking at your midfield and we're going, that's a decent midfield, really, really good. I mean, we've had loads of away fans on and you look at the midfield and you think, fancy us today, like we should be able to turn that over. But you look at Wolves' team and, you know, there's 5, 6, 7 players you look at and go, you know, really good. And I just feel like, they're in an unfortunate position, but also maybe not an accurate position either. And I suppose the little bit of hope, Dan, and I'm sure you still retain hope, but the hope is obviously it's taken just over half a season for Forest to have this gap of 14 points to yourselves. But that doesn't mean the second half of the season that you can't turn that round. It's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy. But recent performances tell me, you know, that you can certainly do that. But from our perspective, I hope that, you know, no Newcastle fans or that the players, the management team, which I'm sure they won't, but I hope that they just don't think we're going to go to Molineux, turn up, win and go home. It's not going to be that easy. I think Wolves are going to be difficult. I think we're going to have to dig in. And Dan, you know, I'm sure better than we do, you know, that our away form has not been good this season. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. And even though I think a lot of people will say Newcastle will turn up, take the points, go home, I just don't see it like that. I actually think it'll be a difficult game. I really do.
Yeah, it absolutely will. And look, Wolves have got some good players. I did see yesterday, in fact, that João Gomez has been linked with Atletico Madrid. Obviously, they've moved on Conor Gallagher, and they're now looking to maybe, as Genius has just said, is they're obviously looking to recruit. So there's still players there that have been attracted by top teams. Atletico Madrid are one of the best teams in Europe. So it's very, very clear that there are talented players in that Wolves team. But I've got to be honest, lads. I was asked this question on Sunday with regards to, you know, I was actually asked the question: Would I want like 4 relegated and 4 promoted, like as a change to the Premier League? And I wasn't quite sure on that. But what I did say is that I'd like to see sort of some new teams in the Premier League. But I wouldn't want Wolves to be one of them that loses out. I like Wolves. I think Wolves are absolutely a Premier League club. When you look at the classic Premier League clubs, if I was to go back right through from the beginning in the early 90s up till now, I would have Wolves in that Premier League, like Newcastle would be in that Premier League. They've got the heritage, they've got history, they've won lots of trophies over the years. Like, they deserve to be there. And it's a shame that a team like Wolves, I'll be honest with you, a Burnley, a Stoke, bye-bye. I don't care. I was glad to see them go when they got relegated. The Norwiches of the world as well. But Wolves are really like, and I really do hope that there's a great escape on and that you can salvage something. But Dan, do you believe, in your opinion, that you can salvage this season and potentially stay in the Premier League?
I would be very naive to not look at the table and try and be realistic. It's, as I mentioned it to Daz off camera before we started, that I've still got hope because obviously winning games breeds confidence. For me, it's all about finishing the season as strongly as we can, whether we make it safe or not. We have to finish the season strong. We can't go into the Championship constantly still losing games, because if we are, then for me, Rob Edwards can't be the manager come the reset in the summer. It's a big month because we've got some big home games, and I think that the margin for error is we can't really lose any more home games. The point gaps between us and like Forest and even like Leeds to a degree are still catchable if you really hit form. But I mean, like Leeds are starting to hit a bit of form as well now, aren't they? Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I don't think anyone's actually come back from this sort of deficit in history, Daz. I know that there's teams like come back from like bottom at Christmas and stuff, but the deficit that we are at bottom in the league now, I don't think anyone's actually doing it in the history of football. So, yeah, I'd be naive to think we can get out of this, but all it takes is a couple of wins on the bounce. I mean, we won 6 games on the bounce last season. It's doable. But, yeah, it's going to be tough. Going on sort of João Gomez and Atletico Madrid, I think that's one of the big sort of conundrums on how this game's going to go on Sunday, because João Gomez and Andre, who are what you class as our 2 best centre midfielders, if they've got any sort of serious hopes of making the Brazil World Cup squad, they've got to be getting one over Bruno on Sunday for me.
Yeah.
Can I get, sorry, Dan, Pete, sorry if I'm jumping ahead here, but I just wanted to know, Dan, we've heard rumours that Wolves could look to cash in on 1, possibly 2 players in order to do like a bit of a rebuild. But aside from that, because I'm sure we'll probably get to transfers, do you think that the Wolves owners are willing to splash big this January in order to try and turn this around? And do you think that's the answer? Or do you think it's not necessarily about bringing in new players necessarily in the next, 16, 17 days? Is it more about just digging in and just trying to turn things around with the players that you've got?
We put it on our social media the other day. I don't know how I could imagine painting what a good window looks like for Wolves, because as a fan base, you don't want Wolves chucking an absolute war chest to try and stay up and it blows up in our face, because then you're screwed come the summer transfer window now. I think I saw Eddie Howe mention it about your transfer window this month might be a bit frugal because it'll affect your summer window. For me, I'd like to see players that have got a bit of like sort of leadership characteristics, because I think Iniesta, Wijnaldum mentioned it in the YouTube comments a moment ago about we're seriously lacking leaders within our team. Connor Cody, Max Kilman, Ruben Neves, Nelson Semedo, Mario Lemina. That's 5 captains there that have gone in the last 4 seasons. It doesn't set a good precedent for what's going on within that dressing room. The start of the season, when Nelson Semedo left, when you went through the squad of the players that you'd expect to be in the running to take over the captaincy, Totti Gomez wouldn't have been in any Wolves fan that I know is top 2 to take over the captaincy. And I feel like that's where the whole thing's just really fallen apart pretty quickly at Wolves, is there's no characters really setting the standards at the training ground, dragging players on to get results in 90 minutes. That's where it's gone massively wrong for me.
A couple of conversations just to throw at you before we sort of talk tactics and maybe talk a little bit of Newcastle as well. Daz mentioned it just a minute ago. Jurgen Strand-Larsen was a player that we were linked with. In fact, we put 2 bids in for 55 million. I think the second bid was rejected just before we then went and signed Nick Voltemada. What have you made of him this season? Do you think he's been affected by the transfer noise of being potentially close to leaving? And in addition to that, is he going to be one of those players that is likely to leave this month? He has been linked with a few teams.
I think he's in a similar boat to João Gomez. If the right offer comes in, I think the club will let him go. He will sort of state that he hasn't been swayed by that summer transfer window move that didn't happen. He was supposedly carrying an Achilles injury the first probably 9-10 games of the season, and obviously lack of form has come to the forefront with him. I think there's definitely a good quality Premier League striker there. I mean, he scored 14 goals for Wolves last season in a team that doesn't create a massive amount of chances throughout a game. So there's definitely a chance he could go this window. Leeds were massively linked to him yesterday, and the odds plummeted at the bookies. I think he went from 33 to 1 to 2 to 1 based on some WhatsApp screenshots that went around with his agent. So we'll see what comes of that. I think similar to João Gomez, if the right offer comes in, he'll be allowed to go. And I'd be disappointed to see him go, but I wouldn't be heartbroken to a degree. I'd be more gutted if João Gomez left.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a talented player. Are you boys? We're tentatively with Graham Bailey yesterday on our show. Was sort of we brought it up tentatively because he had done a piece on Strand-Larsen being of interest to Newcastle United. Would either of you take Jurgen Strand-Larsen at this point, considering that Will Asula might well leave? Would he be still on your radar, or not so much now if he was likely to leave Wolves? Daz?
Yeah, he's not at the top of my list, but because he's just gone off the boil. As I was saying, I kind of watched him a bit after, because with that maybe we would go back for him, but maybe the whole move thing has played with his mind. But as Graham did say, like he was talking about a £40 million would get him. It's a big drop from what we were talking about in the summer. I'd personally go elsewhere, but if Will Asula is sold, then maybe that's someone we revisit, and if Eddie sees that he can get him back to where he was and even build on where he was previously, then maybe it's a runner for us. And Graham also talked about the possibility of having like of Nick Voltemada and Wisa, or then Nick Voltemada and Strand-Larsen may be option for us, but I can't see it though.
I'm not trying to sell Strand-Larsen to you at this moment in time, but £40 million isn't a lot of money in today's market when you can basically amortization of the contract over 5 years.
Yeah.
I think the going rate for a Premier League striker that scored 14 goals last season is probably about 40 mil. Obviously, in the summer, it would have been obviously our main striker. So 55, 60 million, what was being sort of demanded, was probably the going rate. We sold Max Kilman to West Ham for, I think it was 35, 40 million. Ability-wise, he probably wasn't worth that, but he was captain at the time. He still had a long contract left. The markets are fast now in football. But like I say,
What would you take for him, Dan? And I know it's when it's your player, you're going to say more, but just out of interest.
Yeah, I think you've just crossed. I think £40 million is probably the value that Wolves will expect as a as a minimum, unless you can maybe throw in a player or something. I think £40 million is probably the going rate for him in January, because like you just said, there's still what's the saying? There's still hope where there's life. We're not mathematically down yet, so to sell Strand Larsen for a menial fee doesn't make good sense for me. And there was an article that came out in the Telegraph yesterday with John Percy that said there's no relegation release clause in any of our contracts, in our players' contracts in the summer. So it's still, I think £40 million is probably the going rate for a striker who scored 14 last season.
Yeah, I don't think Sophie's offer is going to be taken somehow.
I'll be polite, Sophie. It's a no from me.
Well, Lascelles has been heavily linked with West Ham today. West Ham are apparently really keen on taking Jamal Lascelles this month, so they're looking to improve their defensive area. I think it's interesting though, Dan. I know you obviously dismissed Jamal Lascelles, and I think as Newcastle fans we could understand why, but it was reported today that they're interested in, for the reasons that you kind of said. What you're lacking right now is that experience or that know-how, and it was almost like that they are planning that if they do get relegated, they've got an experienced head that knows how to get out the Championship, and he's done it with us before, that they've got in their ranks already, and that was part of their remit in that. So does that? I mean, that probably doesn't change anything in your mind. You probably still don't want him, but I can see the vision of why West Ham maybe would want to take him.
Yeah, obviously there's plausibility to it. I'm ignorant. Maybe you can give me a bit more insight. I've always had, well, not always had, in recent years, maybe that's two seasons, he's not really had a great fitness record, has he?
No, he had an ACL. And then he hasn't really ever come back from it, if I'm being honest. Like he played.
I can't imagine he's on a small wage either, is he? That's obviously West Ham will throw money at players, won't they? I don't think Wolves would throw money at a player like Lascelles, who hasn't got a great injury record.
I think he's speculated to have he's speculated to be on like 80 grand a week or something like that. I think he's meant to be on, which isn't the highest wage in Oz.
How long has he got left on his contract?
6 months.
It really makes sense. Newcastle want him off the wage bill down there. It's frees up a space in the squad as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. One other player we'll come to, and we'll get Chris' thoughts on this as well, is Matheus Mane, because he seems to be the one that's taken Wolves by storm at this moment in time. He seems to be the real catalyst for your improved form. Young lad, come into the team and really started to make a difference, and obviously lots of teams have taken interest in him at the moment. He's been linked with Wolves, Liverpool are already calling him the next Mane, etc. They already think they've got him. We know the feeling from the summer, and how Liverpool fans can act. How good has he been? For you watch him every minute, week in, week out, particularly since he's come into the team. How good is this lad? And what have we got to worry about on Sunday with him being in the team?
I think it's his fearlessness and his relentlessness that he's an 18-year-old lad. He's playing way beyond his years mentally. He's not afraid to go into challenges. He's not afraid to berate his teammates if they've given him a bad pass. He's got all the ability to go really far in the game. I don't want to sort of say he's going to be the next Sadio Mane, because Sadio Mane has had a great career, Champions League winner. I don't want to put him on that pedestal yet, but obviously he's already played for England under 18s. Recently, his performances has really embarrassed his teammates, because I think they've saw him come in, 18-year-old, and we should be doing a lot better if this kid's really pulling up trees. And he's got an eye for goal, an eye for a pass, and I think he's got an all-round game for a midfielder. I still don't know what his best position is. Physically, obviously, because he's still a bit sort of slight frame-wise, he probably isn't a proper 8 box-to-box. But if you could get him balls in between the lines in and around your final third, he's going to cause problems against any team in the Premier League for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he has caused a lot of problems. I know we talked about it, Chris, when they played against Everton, and he was causing a lot of problems in that game as well. Scored again. Valuable point. We didn't really talk about that, but big point at the Hill Dickinson Stadium for Wolves. Your Callum talked about how good he was and how exciting he is. He's been talked about a lot, and he's definitely a player that we're going to have to stop if we're going to get the points on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the last player our Callum waxed lyrical over when he first joined the team was Callum Matona from Brighton. And he mentioned him, like, very, very early days. He was like, "Oh, you should see this Matoma. He looks really good for Brighton." And then all of a sudden, he just blew up. But yeah, he was waxing lyrical over Mane. And I saw him in the first half, and I think I've seen the last 20 minutes of the game. And I was just surprised, like Dan said, I was just surprised at the arrogance. Like the kid just didn't look phased whatsoever. Really comfortable on the ball, technically very good. And he just put himself about. And I really like that. And when you see that kind of confidence from someone so young, you just think, well, where are they going to go? What can they possibly do? But when you also tally that up with the ability, it's dead exciting. Like I say, when I see him, I just thought, wow, no wonder everyone's talking about this kid. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing him at the weekend. So I hope he does start because, it's always good to see, young prospects play and stuff like that. Obviously, I hope he doesn't have too big an influence on the game. But no, I am excited to see him. But yeah, it's certainly an exciting prospect. And in fact, Dan, this is an interesting one. Do you think the Wolves ownership will maybe look to move on? Possibly, is it João Gomez we were talking about earlier, or possibly Strand Larsen, and keep someone like Mane? Because people would argue that maybe a season in the Championship would be good for him. Or do you think if he carries on his progression the way that he is at the moment, do you think that it will be difficult to keep hold of him past the summer? Do you think clubs will just come in and then maybe you'll use that Mane money in order to rebuild if you were to go down into the Championship?
Yeah, it's like I mentioned earlier on the show, we're in a bit of limbo fan base wise with our owners at the moment. We don't really know where we stand with the owners, how invested they are in progressing the club. We'll know for sure in the summer. I think Matheus Martinez contracted till 2029, which obviously contracts are worth nothing on today's paper. So if the right offer comes in, I'd be surprised if Wolves didn't accept it. But like I said, a season of Championship might be good development for him. But the same situation is if he's going to go all the way to the top, being developed at a top 6 team may be more beneficial for the player himself and hopefully England as a nation in the long term if he's as good as we all think he can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you look at the moments that he's really he sprung to life, and you look at some of the goals he scored. I think you're right, Dan, in terms of like that little pocket in the 10 where he just picks up that ball in between the lines and he just breaks forward with so much pace and power. Even for a young lad, he's got a small frame, but he looks powerful when he's running on the ball and he's running at you. I mean, he's got a strike on him, so it's definitely.
Look at the goal that he scored at home to West Ham. His first touch, which then opened his body up to smash it bottom corner for an 18-year-old at Premier League level to bringing out that stuff. It's great to see. Obviously, there's a bit of sort of a horrible situation where we really want him to do well in the hope that we can stay up, but we don't want him to do great because we'd like to keep him in the Championship if we go down. It's a selfish nature of the world we live in.
Absolutely. And look, at this point, let's have a look at the teams then. Let's have a look at the lineups, because obviously, we've got we've got choices from our perspective. Be interesting to see how Wolves line up and really get a good perspective from what we can expect on Sunday. So I'll just put the tab up on the screen so you can see it. Hopefully you can. Hopefully you boys can see that. So we've got Wolves' team there at the bottom. if you can give us your 11 then of who's going to start and where, Dan, that will give us an idea of what to work with.
I mean, I think it'll probably revert back to the side that started the game away at Everton. Obviously, we beat Shrewsbury 6-1. Strand Larsen may have played himself into contention, but I think whether it's through seeing bits on the training ground or just stumbling upon an 11 due to injuries and formation, I think we've finally got a backline that seems settled now. So sort of the back three going right centre half to left would be Yersa Mosquera, Santi Breno in the middle, and Ladislav Krejci as the back three. And they've since the sort of the Arsenal away game, they look solid against Arsenal that day. Obviously, we got beat by a set piece fluke from Saka that went off the post and it ricocheted off our goalkeeper. Yeah. And then as we pushed for a late winner, we got sort of done on the counter attack, purely all down to Bukayo Saka and just the fortune that we was in at the time. Wing back. So we've sort of reverted back to a 5-3-2, which sort of did us well in the turning point under Nuno in the first season after we got promoted. So the right wing back position could be a bit questionable, but I think 38 to Chua will probably get the nod again, purely based on how we played the game away at Everton with Hugo Bueno at left wing back. We discussed Hugo Bueno on previous episodes between ourselves in regards to how good Ryan Aitnobi was, and Hugo Bueno has been unfortunate not to get more minutes, and in sort of that's like recent games, he's starting to show a bit more to his game. I think he's become a bit more fine-tuned defensively, and he has got a bit better going forward. He just needs a goal or a couple of assists to his name, I think, just to give him a bit more extra confidence going forward. Midfield will be João Gomez, Matheus Mane, and who was the third one? Because Andre didn't start that game. It was... Have a look at the... John Arias would have been the third midfielder. John Arias has come a bit into his own form in recent games. I think coming into the January the window, before the window opened, I think there was a few Wolves fans that wouldn't have been disappointed if John Arias leaves. He's been massively linked to moves back to the Brazilian league. I think Palmeiras seem to be one of the front runners for John Arias at the moment. And he's really come into a bit of form recently. He scored in his last 2 home games. So, the midfield battle is always going to be where it's won in this game Sunday.
Absolutely.
Bruno Fuse, is an elite midfielder. I think he'll be one of the first names in the Brazil World Cup squad. I know Lucas Paqueta has been in the squad recently. He's been linked back to a move to Brazil, hasn't he, in the last few days. So we'll see what comes of that. And then João Gomez, Andre, and I think there may be one other Brazilian midfielder who will be going, who will be pushing to try and get into that World Cup squad. So, like I mentioned earlier on in the show, João Gomez has to be getting the better of Bruno on Sunday to get in that Brazil World Cup squad, because I think him and Andre are both teaching on the edges of falling out. Up front would be Tolu, and Wangu has got a bit of good form against Newcastle at home, so hopefully he can continue that on Sunday.
Who did you say? Is it Wang?
Wang and Tolu, Rocadora.
Has done all right. Rocadora, since he's come in the team, he's done okay.
He signed
physical guy.
He signed late into the January transfer window, and it's another example of how poor our recruitment was. We signed a striker that, when he signed, said, "I'm nowhere near fit," and it's taken him till now to like sort of build fitness up to start games and last over 75 minutes, and he has started building himself into a bit of form. So he was unlucky not to get a goal away at Everton. Got a goal after coming off the bench against Shrewsbury on Saturday. So hopefully him and Wang can start building up a bit of a relationship, because Tolu is so sort of polar opposite to Strand Larsen. I'm not sure what sort of Wolf Tamada's build-up plays. Like I've not seen enough of him this season. I thought we handled him pretty well in the game at St James earlier on in the season. Obviously, I know he scored on the day, but I didn't feel like his physicality was really prominent for a guy of his size. It's similar to Strand Larson. I think he's definitely got an eye for guys who can create him chances, but if you're not creating chances, I don't feel he helps his team get up the field as quick as they can be, and Tolu has done that recently.
I think that's one of the concerns that a few Newcastle fans are starting to raise now. Like in his early days, obviously it was his first game at Wolves, so we were all kind of just watching with real interest to see how he played. And he did kind of get involved in the physical battle. It took it out of him, as he said after the game. He was physically battered because your boys, are very, very physical defensively. But he did go for a period where he was holding up the ball well. He was linking the play nicely. It seems to have dipped slightly at the moment. Like he does, I think you're quite right. And Chris might think differently, but he does seem quite weak on the ball. He gets knocked off the ball and pushed off the ball quite easily. He can hold the ball up and link it well if you allow him to do so. If he can win that physical battle, then he will play a good ball and link the play nicely. But I do need a little bit more physicality from him. I need him to be a little bit more physically tough against opposition defenders, because I do think seeing him a few times really get brushed off quite easily, and he gets knocked down quite easily. And for a big 6'7" lad, I'd expect a little bit more. But I don't know. Chris Dowes, you might have a different opinion.
Go on, Chris.
No, I agree with you, Pete. I agree with you. I would like to see him be a bit more physical, better in the air. I think one of the criticisms aimed at Nick Voltemada was the fact that obviously he's so tall, isn't he? But he doesn't win enough in the air, and also you don't really see him jump up very much. It's almost like he relies on his height, and when the ball's coming down, he's thinking, "Yeah, I've got this." But then obviously, if you've got quite an aggressive centre back you're up against, the defender's going to jump, the defender's going to get above him and win that header. So yeah, really, he should be winning more in the air for me. In terms of what you said, Dan, about being slow, getting up there, I totally agree with what you're saying. And also, I think because Nick Voltemada isn't your natural number 9, he's somebody who, is probably more suited to being in that number 10 role. He's maybe not got that instinct to drive. We've seen him run forward, and he does make the attempt, to get up there. But it's not a natural instinct. Like it's almost like, we go on the counter and something clicks inside and he goes, "Oh, must get up there, must get in there." Whereas most, natural number 9s or predominant strikers are straight on there, turn a pace, they're gone. Or the predicting it's going to be happening, and they already get on the way. And we do see that with the likes of Johan Visser. So that's the difficulty for me with Nick Voltemada. Excuse me, technically very, very good. And there is also a tendency, and Pete and Daz, again, a bit like what you said, Pete, if I'm wrong here, do correct me, but there is a tendency to hold on to the ball a little bit too much. He's very, very good on the ball, technically, very, very good. But there is occasion where, you just want him to lay it off or get your shot off. We saw that in the last game. Just get your shot off. And I think sometimes he wants 2 or 3 touches. And in the Premier League, as we know, you're not always afforded that time.
No, you're right, Chris. Like especially when he's playing number 9, in the Premier League, it's gone in an instant. He's a bit more time when he's playing number 10, as we saw in that one game. We saw that when we played 4-2-3-1. But just on Dan's selection there, I think we should call this game off, because we can't have this game if we don't have Big Dan Byrne and Totti. They'll love to play off each other. So both are going to be missing for this one. I see Totti is a hamstring injury. That's what's ruling him out. So
we need a goalkeeper selected,
by the way. Yeah, I was going to say
a goalkeeper selected.
We can't afford to have goalkeepers anymore. We've got to win our own games. No defense, all out attack. Jose Sa would be in goal for me. He's been in and out with Sam Johnston, but I think Jose Sa is a better goalkeeper than Sam Johnston. For me, it's a massive another issue of poor recruitment for me. Sam Johnston was Aston Villa's goalkeeper when Wolves got promoted in 2018. 2017 maybe. Sam Johnson shouldn't be a Premier League goalkeeper for me, and he doesn't command his box. And for a Newcastle side that are going to be physical, obviously without Dan Burns going to be a blow when it comes to set pieces, but with Wolf Tamada, I think I want a goalkeeper that wants to get off his line and command his box, and Sam Johnson doesn't do that.
Yeah, absolutely, because we do put a lot of set pieces in, particularly put it onto the goalkeeper. So we would absolutely prefer Sam Johnson to be in goal if he's going to stay on his line, because that will absolutely help us in those situations. That is for sure. But that's the Wolves team that Little Dan thinks is going to be in there. Little Dan, before you go, because I know you need to shoot now. First of all, thank you for coming and joining us. It's been great to have you back on with us. Great to see you and chat to you. But what do you think, in your heart of hearts, do you think will be the scoreline on Sunday when it's all said and done?
I think, like I mentioned earlier, there's little to no margin for Wolves to be losing home games now. So I'm optimistically going to go for a Wolves 2-0. I'm hoping your away form is as bad as you're portraying. But yeah, it's never an easy game. I mean, we had that sort of spread in me where it was always 1-1 for about 5 or 6 years. And I think Jacob Murphy scored the one year. You mentioned Alan St. Maximan the other year. I'm glad. I mean, I'm not glad because obviously it's been a bit of a bad injury, but I'm glad Fabian Schär's out, because that goal he scored last season, he'll never score another goal. Well, I know he scored another fluke against PSG, didn't he? But yeah, contradicted myself then. But yeah, I'm glad
he scored a few, to be fair.
That game last season, I came away. I think Mario Lamina literally cried that game, because it was mad how we ended up losing that game. But it was 2 wonder goals, wasn't it? Schär from 30 yards with a little bit of a deflection. Harvey Barnes, bananas one in the top corner. It was a real. That was probably the start of the end for Gary O'Neill, I think, that game, because he was trying to build a style of playing, and after the results didn't come, the players started losing faith in him. And then, once you've lost the players, you've lost the fans for me. But yeah, hopefully 2-0. I mean, I'm going to jinx it. I don't see you getting a win on Sunday, but you can clip me up and share me, whatever. I think we've got to win. We've got to win on Sunday if we're going to keep any sort of hope we can get out of this mess that we're in.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. Dan's gone for the win. Let's wait and see on that. But Dan, just plug your channel and where people can find you before you leave, mate.
Just there at Wolves Fancast. Longest running Wolves fan channel since 2007. So you can follow us there, and you can follow me directly at Sherpa Van Dan. I've mentioned it before. I love coming on your channel. It's one of the best community channels that are going that I've come across on YouTube. I've been on many other channels, and as soon as you get in the comments, there's abuse or like really poor attempts at banter. So I enjoy coming on here, and you're all good guys, and I hope for you guys you have a good rest of the season apart from Sunday, and hopefully I'll be back on next season in a non-cup format episode.
Well, we absolutely hope that you're back next season. I hope you stay up. I really do. I would love to see the others go down, and we'll be in touch, Dan, and you take care, mate.
All the best, guys. All the best. See you later.
Cheers, Dan.
See you, mate.
Mind yourself.
Great to have Dan on. Little Dan, always a pleasure. Never a chore to have him on, because he's a great guest. And so many people in the chat are saying exactly that. Great guest, that's for sure. I want Wolves to stay in the league. I really do. They're a proper football club. For me, they're a Premier League football club. It's a shame what's happened this season. I'd much rather other clubs be going down instead of them. But it is, in fact, the great escape. And even though Dan has predicted the win, I need them to have an even greater escape for us today, because we absolutely need the points. But in order to get the points, you've got to pick a team. And we are going to pick our team right now. So let's switch over to Newcastle. Boys, our players, apologies, our players looked shattered by the end of that game against Man City. They would have had 4 days rest to recuperate and to refuel, ready for this game on Sunday. Who are you going for? Who do you think is going to be our starting 11?
Well, This is Chris's baby. You start us off, Chris, and you know what happens then.
Yeah, I do. Daz knows I love predicting the lineup. It's one of my favorite things. But yeah, for me, I think it's quite easy, this one. I didn't have to think about it too long, but let's see if we hear the buzzer anyway. So, in between the sticks, Pete, will be Mr. Pope. Okay. Left back will be Lewis Hall, my super Lewis Hall.
Grab it 1 second. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Okay. Left centre back, I think, will be Sven Bottom.
Yeah. Played well against Man City.
He did. Right centre back, I think, will be Malik Chow. And right back, I'm expecting it to be Louis Miley.
Yeah. Where is it? There he is.
There he is.
Midfield
3 has to be the standard midfield 3 from me. I think it's got to be Bruno in the right centre mid. Yeah. I think it's got to be Sandro Tonali in the 6. And I want to see Joe Linton on the left centre mid.
For jokes, I was going to put Joe Willock there, but I'm not going to do that. It's not a joking matter. We need the point. So yeah,
yeah. Left wing, I think, will be Anthony Gordon.
Yeah. Gordon.
Right wing, I fully expect it to be Harvey Barnes.
Oh, yeah. Between Alanga and Murphy, but yeah, Barnes.
Yeah, I think Harvey Barnes will get a start this weekend. I think that was one of the reasons why maybe he didn't play against City, or didn't start against City anyway. And through the middle, controversially, or maybe not so, Will Azula. Controversially, I think it will be Nick Valsamada.
Okay.
I think we know that Eddie likes to do a bit of swapping. And also, I think Johan Visser didn't cover himself in loads of glory, so I think Nick Valsamada deserves to start, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I think that'll be the 11 on Sunday.
Interesting, Chris. Interesting. I'm going to give you one of these. Yeah, I'd go with that. I was thinking of Wiesa myself up front, but let me give you an alternative. Let me give you one of these.
Mario going on. Yeah, what's going on?
The Mario, I love that.
Right. Could we try with the 4-2-3-1 just to see what it looks like? Just because I would.
You having these in the double pivot then?
I'm having the boys there, yeah, and
the boys.
Who we dropping? Joe Linton.
I'm dropping Joe Linton. Dropping Joe Linton. I know the physicality. Bring on, yeah. You have it. That's how it would look.
I'll just adjust that slightly. Yeah. Okay.
What about that as an alternative? I would like to see that again. Will he ever use it again? The 4-2-3-1. But it would just get Valsamada and Wiesa on the bench, or sorry, on the pitch, and see what they can do again together. And I think that's where Valsamada plays best. If we want to play to his strengths, and like we don't have Jacob Murphy to swing the ball in as it is from the right.
No.
Anyway, we're away from home, so he wouldn't do that when he's away from home. But I think there's goals there in this team, but you might concede this one. I think in the other for me, the other formation is you're less likely to concede, but in this one you're likely to score more.
My only, I mean, Pete obviously coming now, but my only concern with that, Daz, I like it, but my only concern with that is whether I don't know if this is the game to experiment again with it. Only because I think, I don't know, I feel like Wolves are going to be a difficult animal to deal with this weekend, because I think, like Dan said, the mentality now, if I'm Rob Edwards, I'm saying to these players, you must win at home. You have to win your home games. If you want to stay in this league, you have to win your home games. And I just wonder whether the whole away day blues for Newcastle, whether, you know what I mean? It just all, I don't know. But Pete, what do you think? Where's your head at with all this?
Okay, with the team that's currently on the screen, I do think we could see this at some point, but not starting. I think if we're chasing the game, if Dan gets his way and they're 1-0 up, for example, and it's at 60 minutes in the second half, I think we could see this. I think we could see Eddie Howe, throw a caution to the wind and go, you know what, we need to get goals, and to push us up the pitch. And, we need to find a way to get past this three in midfield, and we need to find those little pockets of space that we talked about, that we think that the likes of Matheus might try to exploit in here during the game. But I think we'd need this in the second half if we're chasing the game. I expect to see this more often if we're chasing games for Newcastle United, but I don't see it as a starter. Just because, for me, and I will take Wieser out because I don't think Wieser will start. I thought he was poor against Man City, and I think Voltemade came on and actually played quite well, even though he missed a couple of chances and probably should have shot when he tried to hold it up. I thought his general play was good, and I think it deserves a start. So I'll put Joe Linton back in the team. And the reason why I think it will be this is purely because Howe want to almost smoke Wolves out. He's going to want to see what Wolves are about. And the best way to do that is, as little Dan said, the game is going to be decided. The easy thing to do is to match them up 3 for 3 and go, right, we're going to match you. We won't match you in other areas, but we're going to match you in midfield. What have you got for us? Because I think Eddie Howe will back his forward line of Gordon, Voltemade, and Barnes to be able to get a goal. And I think he's going to back Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali, and Joe Linton to get the better of that midfield three. I personally think so. I think these two have got a big job on their hands, because normally they would be coming up against one and one would be out wide. Now they're coming up against two. So at times you're going to see it like this. So defensively, I think you're going to see Miley need to be tucking in at times. I think you're going to need Hall to do the same, to come back in and defend. You're going to need Bruno Guimaraes coming here to do a job, as well as Joe Linton. So it's going to be really interesting. So I think he's going to start like this, and I think this will be the team that will start the game. And the reason being is because of what I've just said about the midfield. But there's no doubt that if we're not winning and in a position of comfort where we're up, I do think that we'll see both of them on the pitch, because we have to. We have to. We did it with Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak, and it paid dividends. The amount of times that we did it and we ended up getting back into games and even winning games off the back of it. We have to try this. Nick Voltemade has not played a better game of football than I saw against Bournemouth. Being all action, being involved with the ball, being able to connect the play. He got an assist off Harvey Barnes. He was effective in what he did. And so, as much as Eddie Howe says he might not experiment with it again, he's going to have to if he wants to get his money's worth. And we talked about it before, didn't we? I asked the question, what are we going to do to get the best out of Nick Voltemade? And I think we are going to have to find a way of playing him in the 10. That's just my personal opinion. So I do think we'll see it at some point in the game.
Pete, I know you can't see the comments, mate, but a few people are talking about Kieran Trippier starting at right back and maybe pushing Miley into the midfield. Is that something?
I was going to ask you boys that question. I was going to say, what are the chances of Kieran Trippier starting, and Louis Miley maybe starting in midfield? And I would probably say, I think if it was, I'll get your thoughts on it, but it was going to be almost this kind of in midfield to start off like this. So, if it was that, would you go with that as a lineup? Would that be a possibility?
Yeah, when you consider PSV on Wednesday, that's I was going to mention that as well, because I'm sure no matter what happens, well, let's say we were to go ahead and I'm not comfortable, but we were to go 2-0 up, let's say, then I think he takes some players off just to rest them up a bit because a very important game to assist us in qualifying for the next round of the Champions League for the knockouts. So it's something he could well do, and I would like to see Tonali then gets his shot at a kind of a more freer role that he does today, and a bit like Bruno, and he's still looking for that goal.
Yeah, Chris, your thoughts on Kieran Trippier at right back? Would you go for that? Would that be something that you consider?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, for me, I'm wondering. It was funny when you boys mentioned, the midweek Champions League game. I wonder whether Eddie Howe might go with Kieran Trippier against PSV at home. And the reason I say that is for his experience. Obviously, his experience in the Champions League, his experience in these big games. Is that the time to then maybe give Louis Miley a rest or pop him in the midfield? I just wonder whether Eddie Howe might save him for that Champions League game. I also think it's a bit of a feather in the cap for Kieran Trippier as well. Say that's what Eddie Howe's saying to Kieran Trippier. I'm saving you for midweek, mate. You're going to be in the Champions League team, because ultimately we need to get minutes in his legs. We need to get him back up to fitness, and we know that when we've got a fully fit Kieran Trippier who's in form, he's a danger. I take the point Tom's just made in the chat. Tom Dixon, top man. Tom says Trippier is a good crosser for Voltemada to get in the box. It's definitely a really good point, Tom. We do want to get those balls in the box for Nick Voltemada to hopefully get on the end of. But I just wonder whether Louis Miley gets the Wolves game, but maybe Trippier comes in for the PSV game because it's such a big game. It's such a big game against PSV. Because if we get that win, boys, against PSV, I actually think top 24 sealed. I think last season it was 11 points, wasn't it? And I think we're on 9 now. So if we get the win against PSV, we're almost all but certainty for top 24. So we're going into that qualifying round. And then let's see if we can beat PSG at the Parc de France, or the Parc des Princes. Let's see if we can beat them there to try and squeeze into that top 8. I think it's going to be a big ask. It will depend what PSG do in their 7th game in the Champions League qualifying stages. But it's certainly a possibility. But I think the game against PSV is must win, because if we don't beat PSV, then we're relying on going to France and beating PSG, or at least getting a point to maybe scrape in. So PSV is a must win, boys. It's a must win, and I think Trippier will be safe for that.
There is a world in which we don't win either of the games and we can still go through, depending on the teams below us. But we are then relying on other results. You don't want to be doing that in the Champions League. That's the problem with it. But PSV should be targeted as a win. It's a big game. For me, with the fixture list that we've got coming up, I'll be honest with you, I would be going all out to win that game at PSV. And if we win that game at PSV, I'll be playing a very much a fringe side at the Parc des Princes. I wouldn't be going all out. I don't think top 8 is achievable for Newcastle United, in my opinion. People might disagree. I don't think top 8 is achievable for us. I think the playoffs is where we will be, and I think we will need to look ahead, because after PSG, I believe it is Liverpool at Anfield on the Saturday. And so for me, once we beat PSV, if we do beat PSV, when hopefully we do beat PSV, I think that game at Anfield becomes more important than the game at the Parc des Princes. And I would be ensuring that we have our top players ready for that game. Because I actually think for the first time in a long time, and call me crazy, but for the first time in a long time, Liverpool are beatable at Anfield. Liverpool absolutely could be beat, and or certainly get something from. And so I think actually that's the time that we need to maximise, and we are going to have to be smart. We talked about this on the reaction in the Man City game. That run of fixtures is ridiculous. We are going to have to be really, really smart with the way in which we use our players. So that was just that's just my thinking in it. But I'm not against Trippier playing in this game. The only thing I'm worried about Trippier is just his form. Like he's making mistakes. Like, you know, for the Bournemouth game, he made a couple of mistakes, or he wasn't able to track back. He made the mistake for Alex Scott's goal. He didn't track his man. I don't want that to be something that hinders us on Sunday, for example, or even in the PSV game. I'm worried about his decision making and his ability to make the right decisions in the right situations. But then you combat that with what I think you said. Was it Tom said about crossing? Yes. For Voltemada, we need, if Voltemada does start, we need as many balls into the box as possible, because we need him potentially on the end of them. So there is kind of, it's almost like a 50-50 there. And I'm going to be honest, lads, I want to see Miley in midfield. I watched what he did. We all watched what he did at the Hill Dickinson Stadium in a game that was a pressure game. And he was absolutely brilliant in that midfield. He was fantastic, and I want to see more of it. I know he's done brilliant at right back, but he ain't a right back. I want to see him in his position. I want to see him starting games in that midfield, because Craig Hope tonight reports that, you know, England have been watching him for the last few games, and he is under serious consideration for potentially the March squad. I want to see him playing and doing well in his best position, because that's where it is. He's a midfielder. So that's just kind of where I'm at. So I'm not against Trippier playing. I'm worried about the mistakes that could potentially be made.
And do you know what, Pete? You make a good point, because Louis Miley, we know, 19 years old, young lad, full of energy, full of fitness. If it means Kieran Trippier, I know a few people in the chat are going, "Oh, you can't start Kieran Trippier." Kieran Trippier is a very, 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 very experienced player. Now, we've all said, haven't we, and we all agree that, you know, he's in the latter stages of his career. We know he's not the Kieran Trippier of 2 or 3 years ago. We can all see that. But this game needs level-headedness. I'm talking about PSV, by the way. This game needs level-headedness. It needs, it needs a sensible head. Now, I'm not saying Louis Miley can't play right back, and I'm not saying that I don't want him to. I absolutely do. But if you're saying to me that Kieran Trippier can play right back and Louis Miley can go into the midfield and rest potentially a Joe Linton, a Sandro Tonali, for me, because of the games we've got coming up, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. We can't keep putting the same 11 in every single time, asking the same 11 players to keep going to the well. Louis Miley, I'm not concerned over, because I think he probably can keep doing it. But the likes of Joe Linton, the likes of Sandro Tonali, the likes of Bruno. Now, I'm not for 1 minute suggesting we drop Bruno or rest him, but Sandro Tonali and Joe Linton, I think we need to keep care of them. This is why I think the 3 will start in this game, but we can't then have them all 3 starting in PSV, all 3 starting against Liverpool, all 3. You know what I mean? You can't just keep starting the same team. This is why you've got to utilise your squad. And yes, I think if it was a cup final, I don't think anyone would be asking or suggesting that Kieran Trippier should be starting, because he probably shouldn't be. But we've got to utilise this squad. We really have. Somebody else mentioned in the chat earlier, you know, about resting Lewis Hall. We know Lewis Hall is always on the brink of maybe getting an injury or pulling up or something, and we can't afford to do that, boys. We can't afford for that to happen. Daz, you would have loved it. Someone mentioned about Alex Murphy, bringing Alex Murphy in. Someone mentioned.
Pete won't even bring Alex Murphy into football manager game, so I'm not going to even try and convince anyone else. I tried to convince them, but
I did try and bring him in, but then I forgot I'd not registered him, so I couldn't play him.
What I was going to say is, I'd rather play trips in this game than the PSV game. I know what you're saying about experience, Chris, but pace. I bet you PSV have some fast left winger that will rip him a new one, and it's. I think I'd rather Miley there, and he's pocketed some decent wingers in the last little while. So I'm not worried about Lewis Miley playing right back.
If I remember correctly, there was a few of PSV's goals at Anfield that were scored off that left hand side off their left or right, or Liverpool's right. But if I'm right in thinking, just thinking back to some of the goals they scored, there was at least a couple that came off that side. So it's important to consider. I get what, but you know what, I feel a certain way because I get from both sides of the perspectives. You're saying that people in the chat are saying, why Trippier? He's this, that, and the other. And I understand why fans are concerned, because I'm a little bit concerned, because I'm a bit like, his form's not great. Do we throw him back in and put him under that pressure? But at the same time, we've not had Dan Burn for a while, and he's a massive leader in this team, particularly in the back line, that really kind of navigates what we do and really kind of drives us forward. But we're missing that. And to add Trippier in potentially on Sunday or Wednesday as one of those additional leaders, just with a bit of know-how, and if we're 1-0 up, we've been struggling to manage games. Is Trippier able to navigate us through that so we can see through that 1-0 and maybe get it to 2-0 because he's orchestrating the team? There's loads of little elements of the game that's not with the ball at his feet, but it's just with his mind, and he knows how to kind of just to organize and lead a team, and that's crucial. We need that at this moment in time. So I am sort of cut both ways in terms of what we should do with Kieran Trippier. But ultimately, if Eddie Howe goes with it, I wouldn't be against it. If he goes with Trippier on Sunday, I won't be against it, because I almost can see the vision of why he would be doing that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm still unsure.
Pete, I've got a bit of breaking news for you, Pete. And you know what? I'm surprised I completely forgot this. But Genie Estevan is going to be my favorite message of the night. That Genie Estevan says, PSV left winger is 39-year-old Ivan Perisic.
But he's a very good player.
He is very good. He is very good. But yeah, I'm surprised. I forgot he'd gone to PSV. But he's still a very, very good player. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But that would be quite a good matchup for Trippier, I suppose. It's better than playing against a 20-year-old left winger, I'm sure, who's full of pace. So I'd be quite happy if Perisic started against us, to be honest.
No, that'll convince him.
Don't be sending me Alex Murphy pictures on our WhatsApp. I don't want to see Alex Murphy anywhere near my team.
Football Manager Alex Murphy pictures. That's kind of clarify that. Yeah. You got to go on assist against Leeds for me.
We have to make that clear. It is Football Manager pictures of Alex Murphy, not anything else. I don't want to be seeing it. Did he score? Is that him scoring?
He's got a goal and assist for me. Yeah. Lewis Hall wasn't getting back in the team after. I stopped playing after. I haven't turned it on since.
But, for me, it's more about Harvey Barnes in the assist rather than the goals. I'm joking. Anything else, boys, with regards to the team? It's going to be an interesting lineup, just because looking at both teams, obviously. If you got any concerns with them playing potentially two up front with, Hwang, who's in good form, he likes to drift off the left and play in these little pockets here. You have Oropide, who play through the middle as more of a target man. Have you got any concerns about these two boys up against Chow and Botman?
Hwang always worries me. He's one of those players who just always pops up. I like him. I think he's a good player. I think if Hwang has a better season throughout, I think Wolves wouldn't be in this position. You're right, Pete. His form has turned around and he's starting to play a bit. But if he'd have started the season as he's playing now, he probably wouldn't be in the position they're in now, because Hwang is a really decent player. I don't know much. What was Dan calling the other striker? It's Arakadea, but he didn't call him that, did he? He called him by his first name.
Is it Tote? Is it Tote?
Was it Toley? He was saying Toley or something.
Yeah.
Tulu.
Tulu. I don't know. I haven't watched hardly anything of him. I'll be honest. All my attention in terms of from a Wolves perspective will be on Mane. As I say, he looks so dangerous, and I think it's going to be a good battle because we know João Gomez really good player, Andre really good player. I mean, I know Dan has said that he thinks they'll start with John Arias, who again is a good player. This is the mad thing, boys. You look at their team; they've got good players like Hwang, danger, Mane, danger, Chichua. He's the lad, isn't he, who was recorded as the fastest player or something like.
Yeah.
You know, and then you've got Bueno. Yeah.
Him and Alanga were like two of the fastest.
Yeah. Bueno, good player. Mosquera, good player. Yeah, good team.
It is strange that Strand Larson isn't getting a look in after such a good season he had previously. Like that guy, Tulu, he's only scored 1 goal in 17 games. Probably some bonuses there as well. And just back on Hwang, he used to always worry me back in the days when it was always 1-1 or always a draw at Wolves. He'd pop up and annoy us. But no, I think we can cope with what Wolves throw at us.
Tulu, I'll say Tulu because it's just easier. But Tulu is, although he's not scoring, he's a handful because I think he's like 6'5", 6'6". I think he's a really tall, physical lad, and he puts himself about, and that's why I think it'd be interesting. I think Botman will have a job on his hands to manage him, but Botman did a brilliant job with Erling Haaland, and he tends to do really well with these big physical strikers that want to go into battle. And Botman almost, I really find that Botman almost thrives on that. When there's a big physical target man, I think he thrives on that battle. And like I love Botman because like he loves to get up ahead of them and win headers. He'll try and nick the ball in between them if they're trying to hold the ball up. Like he's really intense and touch tight and physical, and that might be an interesting battle there. So we will provide that. Hwang's more of a pace it in and behind, and I think I do think you're right, Daz. I think with Malik Chow, can handle him. It will just be can Trippier tuck in. Can Lewis Hall tuck in and make sure that there's no gaps to be exploited? But yeah, it's good. It's going to be an interesting battle. I do hope that Sam Johnson plays though, because he will just stay on his line. He's like a Dubravka. He'll just stay on his line, which is perfect for his particular set pieces. Because we will get chances with Nick Voltemada if he plays. But. Boys, let's wait and see. Let's come out of here and come back to us. Is there anything else? Any comments? Any opinions? I've just seen. Have I missed something here? I've just literally clicked back on it. And Jordan Tooth Live said, Colton, are you saying Pete isn't? So what's Colton been saying?
Where's Colton? Where is he? Oh, it's because you said Tonto. I think you said Tonto when we were trying to get the first name of it was Tulu or Tolu.
Oh, so I think I said Totti.
Totti. They thought you said Tonto, and then he was going, "Yeah, Tonto is useful."
I hope he's not. But we'll wait and see.
I know.
Any comments, questions, anything in the chat?
Let's have a quick look. Oh, I tell you what, Tom went 2-footed or attempted to go 2-footers earlier on Dan.
Dan?
I love the way he phrased it. Tom was like, so when Wolves get relegated, do you think you'll come back up? It's like, bloody hell, Tom. I mean, it does look like they are going to go down, Tom. I do agree with you, but it just made me laugh when I seen it. I was like, oh.
When Tom comes, Tom.
Bombs.
He drops bombs.
He drops bombs. Right, let's have a look. A couple of comments here. Let's see. This is controversial. I'm not sure I'm agreeing with Turpy on this, but I'll see what you boys think. So I'll come to you first. Turpy says, I really think Asula would have kicked on this season if fit, and definitely buries the chances Visser and Voltemada missed on Tuesday. What do you think?
Yeah, well, he when he comes onto the pitch, he's liable to do anything. So it is great to watch. It's pity he was only getting cameos for us. We'll remember. I can't remember who it was against, but where he came on and he kind of changed the game with his energy that he brought. Would have been a nice option to have in certain games for sure, and we'll never know. Will we ever see him play for us again? Again, that's another question.
Big question. I think he would have affected games here and there. I think he would have done a little bit of what he's done already. Like he obviously came on against Liverpool, was good. Came on against Fulham, was good, and helped change the game. I think he might have done that, but I don't think he would have done anything different from starting. He's very erratic, Will Asula, and although there is potential there, I don't think it's what Newcastle need right now, in my opinion. It's particularly if we had Alexander Isak, right? And I hate to keep bringing him up, but if we had Alexander Isak, I think Will Asula would still be a Newcastle player, and I don't think there'd be any talk of him leaving, because when you've got someone that's that good, you don't mind bedding in a player. You don't mind working and developing a player in the background, giving him minutes here and there to affect the game, this, that, and the other. But when you lose a player like that and you need to rebuild the attack, particularly with losing Callum Wilson as well. So it's effectively, we're building a striker from absolute scratch. We're starting all over again. And we can't afford at this moment in time to hold a Will Asula and continue to develop him, because the strikers, Nick Voltemada is gone. I think I read this morning, he's gone, I think it's 5 hours now without a goal. That's a long time. It's a long time. 5 hours without a goal is a long time when you need your strikers firing. Wisa has been missing chances recently. When your strikers aren't firing, you need your third striker to come in and actually be something, and he's not quite there yet. Imagine that. But interestingly, would you take Callum Wilson as a third striker instead of Asula? That's for people in the chat as well.
No. We can't go back. That's a backward step for sure. No, we can't, boys. We're not going back there.
I just had to make the coffee thing in my head, but it was like, you can.
We can.
No, we can't even go there, can we? I mean, if you ask me,
we can.
You can. In fairness, your question was, would I prefer Wilson in over Asula? Probably yes, because then the reason I say that is because what Turpy said. It's not that I disagree. I think, like you, Pete, I think Asula would have an impact, and Asula would give you legs, give you energy, give you pressing. But I'm just not wholly convinced that he would have buried those chances. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, Asula would have scored, because I'm not wholly sure that he would have. He could have, but I'm not wholly sure that he would have. Somebody like Callum Wilson, given those opportunities, I think he probably would have. Callum Wilson, I would, because I think Callum Wilson is a finisher. He really is. But yeah, that's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, maybe let's not talk about that, just because.
Yeah, Paul Spragg just says Wilson, no, just no.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
But Jordan Tupalive said yes, no, with a full stop. No more to discuss.
No.
YES.
Leave it there.
Yeah, so interesting, but we don't want to be talking those things back into existence. We do ultimately want to move on.
Yeah. No.
Unless you want to keep him down, I don't know.
Hang on, let me just. I'm delaying for a reason here.
I agree with that.
Can I really go on like this?
It can't go on like this, can it?
It can.
You had it somewhere.
Hey, I love that. I have to scratch what I said earlier because I now have a new favourite comment of the evening. It did tickle me, this. I don't know why, but it did. Sophie said, this Wolves game is definitely a banana skin, especially for us and our away form. And Wazza said, I like bananas. And then Sophie said she liked bananas as well. So yeah, I don't know why that tickled me, but I did enjoy that. Thank you, Rosa. Right, in terms of other comments, Barry Simpson says, what's all this about Gordon going to Arsenal? We heard it the other day. We discussed it very briefly the other day, Barry. But yeah, the rumours keep resurfacing. Daz, do you think that Anthony Gordon, I mean, it's not going to happen in January, let's be honest, but do you think that maybe this could be something that gets visited in the summer?
Anything can happen in the summer, as we found out. Anything can happen in the summer. So I think it's irrelevant for now until we get to the summer and see that there could be multiple changes all over the shop come the summer. So let's see then.
Yeah. Pete, same.
If they pay the money, they can have him.
And how much is the money, Pete?
Because it's Arsenal. Because it's Arsenal.
150 million.
Well, yeah. We don't want to go down that rabbit hole again. Jesus Christ. But no, I would say if it's Arsenal, I'm going to go 80 million. If they win the Premier League, 90.
And if it's Liverpool, 100.
Absolutely. If it's Liverpool, I want 120.
Yeah.
Hey, they've shown they can pay crazy money for players. No, I'm joking. No, he won't go for that sort of money. But I would be saying right now, whether people believe it or not, with his ability, I think 80 million is the least that we should be taking for Anthony Gordon right now. The least. He's an England international. He's 24 years old. Despite not doing great in the league, he's still got 9 goals to his name this season, and double figures if you add in goal contributions. You add that in there, that is value. It's value, and so I wouldn't be selling him for any less than 80 million.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
No.
Well, quick question, just to sneak in there. What would you value Barnes right now? We paid 38 million for him. Would you say he's close to his value? Would you say you'd want near to that again?
He's over now. He's over.
Yeah, he's over.
I think he's over his value because he's proven. He's our top goal scorer, isn't he?
Yeah, 11 goals.
Yeah, if anybody came in for the only problem, well, I say problem, it's not a problem, but the only issue that may occur is the fact that we'd asked top dollar. I think Harvey Barnes, if he was to move on, I think it would be probably to a club, maybe the next rung down from us. So I don't see the clubs in the rung next down from us. And I'm talking maybe about the likes of like a Everton. Palace, maybe, or like a Palace and Everton, teams who are close to mid-table. I think he would go to a club like that, and I don't see them paying that much money. I just don't think they would. So for me, it sounds really strange saying this, but he's almost pricing himself out of a move because I don't think we could sell him for 36 million. I just don't think we could because he's better. He's better than that. He's better than that, and he's proven it.
Well, we talked about it at the beginning of the season. I always said that because of Barnes' age, he's probably one of those valuable assets that if we needed to raise money, we'd probably have to sell. But I think that his form now, from sort of December through, has probably made him unsellable for Newcastle. Like, we can't afford to sell him at all right now because of where he's at. He's on for a 20 goal plus contribution season. Like, he could get 20 plus goal contributions, like goals and assists. He's well on the way to that already, which is absolutely massive. Just you realise that, like, we realised how much everyone was talking about Jacob Murphy. Even I still have LB waxing lyrical about Jacob Murphy all the time. Still, after his season last season, he got, I think, was it a 19 or 20 goal contribution last season? If Barnes goes and does that, like, you're looking at big money on his value. Interesting.
And the difficulty is, I don't see Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool I don't see them moving for Harvey Barnes. I just don't.
Spurs.
That's no disrespect. Yeah, well, Spurs just keep buying wingers, don't they? So
Spurs is Spurs, and I think Spurs and Villa are two teams that would buy someone like Harvey Barnes. I think they would pay the money, because remember Villa were linked, weren't they? Last January was doing this sort of some sort of PSR type deal. But Ash, don't worry. Ash is saying, Christ, we can't lose Barnes and Gordon.
No.
We're not talking about thinking they're leaving. It was just hypothetical stuff. But we can't sell Barnes anyway.
No. Well, two more comments anyway, boys. Tom Dixon says Fabian Schär has had a successful operation today. He's just posted a photo, which is great news. On the road to recovery. We wish Fabian all the very best, and hopefully he's back playing as soon as possible. Yes, love that. And then the last comment, which did make me laugh, another one that made me laugh this evening from Lee Mags. He says, after our Perisic conversation, Perisic scoring against us would be typical now. And you just know, don't you? If the PSV go 1 up and it's Perisic, we're all going to go, oh my God, we were all talking about him the other night. What have we done?
And same with Talu.
Yeah, Talu.
Who brought him into existence? Because I blame them. Who was it? GDS?
The chatter.
Yeah, it was someone in the chat. Come on, you need to own it now. Whoever has said it in the chat, you need to.
Was it Jory 2 for life?
It's your fault if Perisic scores against Newcastle next week.
We'll find out.
Right,
questions, comments.
Yeah, good, great questions. Great questions. One thing we haven't done for a while is predictions. We haven't done a prediction. Normally we've been fighting against time and we've just kind of whipped off. But let's get our predictions in. I'll start. I'll just throw it out there. I think it will be a cagey game, but I hope and I believe that Newcastle will win 2-1. That's what I'm going to go with. That's Chris. Talk to us.
Chris.
Well, funnily enough, I was thinking the same. I was thinking 2-1. I think it'll be tight. I think it'll be uncomfortable. I actually think it will be 1-1 and we score the winner. I just hope it's not, they don't wait until like the 94th minute or something. Get it nice and wrapped up nice and early and then just see it through. But yeah, I think it'll be 2-1. It'll be 1-1 at some point, I think. Hopefully we're not behind. And I think we'll win it 2-1. Yeah.
Just sort of test out this button. Yeah, I couldn't remember what that one did. I'm gonna go one more. 2-0 Newcastle for me.
2-0. Clean sheet. We don't know what clean sheet is.
Just get it done.
Yeah. Get the shades on for Popey. That's what we need. Shades for Popey. We get clean sheet and a win. Shades on, happy days. Everything's bright with the world again. And we march on to PSV. That's the dream right there. That's the dream. But people,
because City wasn't that bad, was it, Pete? City, the City game wasn't that bad. Even on reflection, I didn't, come away from that game and think, oh bloody hell, we were awful and we didn't. We had moments, and I still feel a little bit frustrated after that game, because if we took our chances, it could have been very, very different. So if you take the City game to a side, we're in good form. There's no reason why we can't just keep this run going. Let's keep the Premier League wins going.
I was going
to make a prediction that Nick Valtemata scores in this one.
Yeah, that'd be nice. If that was right, what I saw this morning, that he's gone 5 hours without a goal. We definitely need to be putting one on a plate for him on Sunday.
Yeah,
definitely. But with regards to the Man City game, really quickly, I was quite I put a tweet out and I worded it wrong because I put it was a poor performance from the lads. It wasn't a poor performance. It was a disappointing performance because the fact that we didn't take our chances. That was why, because we created enough chances to win that game, and that was the frustrating part. No, I know it wasn't you, George. I thought it might have been. I thought it might have been Gene Esther that put Perisic into our minds.
Has Gene Esther admitted it? No one's admitted it yet.
I don't think so. But
roll the tape. Watch it back.
Yeah, but I think it wasn't all bad. Man City are a good team, and I think if we were to play with that, if we were to play like that and create that level of chance on Sunday, I think we win. If we were to create that level of chance, because I don't see us missing those chances again. But
Guilty. We knew.
Guilty as charged. I love it.
Quick, let me just nip in with it. Oh, Daz, give me a question and then I'll nip in with one last question.
I said 2-0. 2-0.
Oh, sorry, you did, mate. Yeah, sorry, you did.
Yeah.
They are innocent until proven guilty.
Guilty.
We might have to rewind that tape. Yeah.
If he scores, Genie, you got some explaining to do, man.
Right, come on for you.
It was a good shout. This it was from Genie as well. So Genie, you've come back fighting, mate. Genie says any PSV away days, and I don't think there will be, will the boys, unless you tell me otherwise. And then Sophie B says score prediction for PSV as well. If no away days, I thought, well, we could squeeze that in. I mean, in fact, you know what? We could do it on the Wolves reaction, couldn't we? We could do it on the Wolves.
Yeah, let's do it then. Keep people guessing.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll do that. Yeah. Hopefully we'll be doing it with some shades on, even better. Shades on, 3 points in the bag. Let's roll.
All right, that is it. We will be back for the reaction show. Catch that Sunday evening after the game. I think 7:30 is the show. Right, for Big Nick to get back on the score sheet. See you on the next one. Smash that like and don't forget the hype. Good luck.
Oh, come on, move a little closer. Come on, I wanna hear you whisper. Come on, settle down inside my love. Accidentally in love. Accidentally in love. Accidentally in love. Accidentally in love. Accidentally I'm love. Accidentally I'm love.